All right, perfect. So it is October 28th, 2025. This is part one with WolfPack Connect training on emails. And I'm going to share my screen here so that everyone can see what I'm seeing. And let's do that. Okay. And so I'm just going to be sharing this from the viewpoint of I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm showing it as realistic as possible. So I am impersonating my student account right now, my old student account, and I have added myself into one of the test clubs where we do testing. So the test group club mini edition, and I add myself as an officer of that, and so I'm impersonating myself so that I'm showing and seeing the experience exactly like how a club officer would see that experience, right? So if you see this little thing up here on the top, you can just disregard that because it has nothing to do with this. But other than that, though, you're seeing the main home screen just as you would if you were to log in through it through desktop or just your web browser, right? Again, I'm always going to encourage and promote that you pop out this little side navigation thing, as these icons are more the global things. These are sometimes more of the sub-global, so they kind of give context to some of the other things that you click up here on top, right? So it's always good to have this popped out, especially as a club officer. So I'm going to click on groups here and go to one of my clubs that I'm assigned to, and as you can see, it's showing everyone that I'm a group of right now. And then you can go ahead and click on. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So from there, and I'm just going to quickly say here, Brent. So what these what these trainings really are is I walk through and explain how I do things. I don't really take questions. I just explain it so that these recordings will allow anyone to kind of watch it. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up on what to expect. So right now, again, I'm now in my main dashboard of the Test Group Club Mini Edition, right? So as any one of the other club officers would see it exactly like this with their colored tiles, their activity feed, their recent tiles that they have clicked on, and then more information like the statistics of the makeup of their group, right? And so we're going to, because I've already clicked on it today, I'm going to click on my emails, right? And this is where you're going to start to see where this side navigation thing really makes a lot of sense, right? Because I can click from going back to where I just was, the emails, the tile, the orange tile, but it's all the sub options here on this left-hand side that are going to really be very important here, right? So as it shows by default, when you click on that tile, it shows all the sent emails that you have and currently have. And so some of these we can see, are from, the past in July. And so we're going to create some more here, but I'm just going to kind of go down through some of these quickly so that they maybe make a little sense. Some of this is just like a standard web mailbox, right? Or you could also relate this into some extent like Microsoft Office, maybe even Thunderbird. That's another one that gets used. But so some of these just, we get it. It's the same thing that we've used, but I'm just going to kind of go over it anyway, just so it makes sense in case anyone doesn't. But this next one's scheduled. So if I had composed an email, right, and I'll be doing that in a second, I can, the last option before it gets sent is to schedule it. So if I had any scheduled ones that were going to be planning on going out, they would show up right here, and that would kind of give you the overview. So it's not, that's a nice thing if you're trying to automate some of the process and say, okay, I have to get these emails out. I have some time now to do it. Boom, I'm going to, pre-schedule them and then get my work done so I can focus on other things, right? So your draft's pretty self-explanatory, things that you've started or that you got very far and then you said, hey, I'm not ready to send it out yet. Maybe I have to get some more input from the other club officers, so I'm going to save it as a draft and instead of sending it right then and there, and that would pop up here, right? Then we have our templates, right? So these are, everyone's going to have these 7 basic templates, unless if you create your own, right? So there are some that that other clubs do create, or other groups, I should say, for that example, right? But these are kind of they can kind of, if you really want to get into it, you can kind of have some fun. They're really nice. The 1 by 3 columns. What it really makes you have to do is makes you have to make sure that you have the correct image dimensions for those, so that the sizing is all worked out. And that's so it really just it depends on if you've got that all laid out. I know for ELT I don't have that laid out, so I don't really utilize that. But and then there's obviously other options here with the email builder, and you're going to see the difference between the classic email and the email builder in a second as well, right? So then we go down to email tracking, right? So this is kind of some of the more diagnostic information, so to help you kind of understand if something's sent out, right? So if you're sending it out to a lot of people and you want to know, like, did it actually send? Okay, so I sent it out. I sent out an email, right? I sent out this specific one. This is how you get people's attention. I sent it on May 9th, and I could tell that it was opened. If I had any links in that email, something to click on, it would have showed. If they clicked on it, it would have showed that they clicked, right? But this is, and I should be able to even open and reference and see that. So yeah, I sent this out as a test with a thing of cake, right? And this open and clicks is basically what this email tracking is, right? So you see how it shows that same header up there. But so you're always going to see the user, you're going to see, and then you're going to see the pieces of mail. So if I was to take a second back and show you how this looks on a bigger scheme, I would stop impersonating for a second. It's going to make me log back in again. And then I'll show what that looks like maybe from the executive leadership team side, right? So again, we go to our emails. We look at, as you can see, all the emails that we've sent, right? And you can get pretty far into things like tagging to help you identify. Hey, I want to look at anything that relates to, say, the year 2024 to 2025. Oh, all those. Like, you can really get into it if you want to help you with understand better with just the analytical information, right? But if we were to look at the email tracking, right? So we can start to see where some of this applies, right? So here's a great example. Emily, she as a user, these are all of the emails that she has opened up that we've sent her, and all the times, how many times she opened it, and if she clicked on any of the links. So it looks like this time she did click on the link that was in that email. But as you can see, yeah, this is how it looks, right? Lauren is another example of this, right? So that can be very useful. I will also just take a second to show the delivery status part of this as well, because it will make more sense through ELT side, because we send out a lot more messages. And again, this is really for if you want to if you really want to get into the nitty gritty about emails being sent, right? And they do give you a little bit of information about how to really understand it and see how read the diagnostic information basically, right? But I can just say that this one email, right, uh, checking in, uh, it shows you the size, who it was all being sent to, did it because it's a process when you're sending it out to multiple people, right? Did it get generated, did it get queued up to get sent out, and then did it actually send? What was the percentage of opening, and who first opened it? And then if there's any specific delays, right, you can actually see, like, sometimes, if you maybe send it out to a lot of people, it may not go out immediately right away. And then once it starts to send out in that queue, there could be a delay in latency between those. So that's something, again, if you're really interested in that. So, and then we can even show you the unsubscribed. And this is obviously no longer this is from Student Success Awards. We were asking for input. We were asking to get them to send us a photo so we could use it for the ceremony. And this student, Levi, decided to say, I don't want to get any more of these emails, and I want to unsubscribe. So You can see the date when they unsubscribed, and obviously that it was sent by me, which it was, the email. You can also see if they had a message here that they didn't, that they had some reasoning that they wanted to send back to the group officers as to why they want. I no longer am a part of this club, for example, and maybe that's why they were unsubscribing, right? And then yes, these notes um, will only be shared with they campus groups, when they created this and gave it over to us, they give you a lot of these options to write little notes, so that you and or other group officers can see it. If it was to be seen by anybody other than that, the group officers, it would note that here in this blue. But yes, you can attach files, make little comments. I don't haven't had reason for it to be necessary yet, but it is a thing that you can do. So I'm gonna go back here quick and just impersonate me again. Boom. And we are back as in the test group club again. And so yes, those things I think would make a lot more sense, because yeah, you're not going to see any of that same information here. So all right, so now that we have some of that information, I'll also quickly say here that if you had email tags, you could put them down, right? I showed you that in a second, but I showed you that a second ago, but you can just create one if you want to create one right there. You can also do that by going into more tools and then tags, right? So I think by default it actually does go to tags. I don't think it goes to hub, but you can create tags to help identify. And I'll do this as be going into more tags in a little bit when it relates to trying to, if I want to say send this out to specific individuals or specific members in your group, I'll show that here in a little bit. But I will say though that when you're talking about your members, and I will be doing a training on members, that you can do a lot of this tagging, and it can become extremely useful when you have a lot of members, or if you want to just categorize your type of posts, your type of news categories, even your type of emails or submissions for forums, right? So it can be very helpful. So I'm just putting that out there as well. So let's go ahead and compose an email. And so now our first option, and everything's always labeled by number, right? So first is select recipients, right? So the reason why it was important to impersonate my school, one that had no admin privileges, is because of how it will show up if I was to do it as an admin versus how you do it as a group officer. And specifically for user tags here in a second, you'll see what I mean. But in general, if you're just sending this out to all members, right, you can just go ahead and select that, right? You don't have to select every one of these different things, right? It's you select one, it overrides, right? So if I wanted to say send it out to only the students, I could do that, right? You're going to get a lot of this unknown and not applicable. That's okay. If we were to be more specific on how we set it up on the back end with some of this information, and or if we allowed for users to stay in the platform longer than they are, some of that information that you see would actually make sense, and it would be filled with something other than unknown and not applicable. But because we don't use that, you can just disregard and know that when you select something like that, it's going to select everything, right? Or you can do it by the account type as well, right? So either student, staff, or you can do it by members, right? Your officers, I should say. So it all depends. It depends. But this is the majority of what you're going to be doing when you're sending this out. Is I want to send it to everyone. I want to send it to just my officers. I want to send it to just the students, and in that rare case, I want to send it out to staff, right? If you want to get more intricate with it, and if you did have contacts are really defined as individuals who might have stumbled across your group either through an event you were hosting. Maybe they tried to join your event, join your group after going to an event, and if they haven't been fully validated yet, they would show up as a contact. Maybe they got an email from you, and that could also make them a contact. And because again, until they're officially validated by the group, they're not in the actual group yet. So if you had any of that, those options, that's where you click and use those if you wanted to do that instead of this. And then as we get down to the tagging here, you specifically, and I'm just going to preface this by saying it can get, depending on how you want to do this, a little bit more complex or very basic. So if you had member tags down here, so if I had member tag A or member tag B, say I had my member tag A was all of my active members, right? So I had active membership, and I wanted to send that to all my active membership versus member tag B, which is just all my members, right? I could select and say, so this member tag A, right? What if though, and here's where the subgroup tags come in, and I do have a couple of these right now. If I was to go ahead, I'm just going to zoom in for a second. In this example that I had created these subtags, this is for the transportation stuff, right? But maybe I wanted to say, maybe I had a member tag here that was transportation. So I want to send an email out to all students that is important, that said that signed up to want to be a part of transportation information, right? I could select that, but then I could also select and say, but I only want to be about shuttle. This is only relevant to shuttles right now, not to round trip or to any of the other transportation services that the college provides. I could then select that, and so I'm specifying very detailed at this point. I cannot obviously also use these logical operators and do that as well, even more farther in advance, and that's where I say it can get a little bit more uh, just complex depending on how you want that logic set up. And then the last one, and this is where the not being admin was important. Um, we have different user demographic information that gets pulled over from the PeopleSoft, the Student Information System database, and so to see that you only have academic schools. If you said you want to send it to anyone who had maybe business and applied arts, I'm looking at you there, Brent, as a joke, that maybe you could select that, right? But again, really, it's only going to go out to your members. So this user tag section may not be relevant at all to any group, but who knows, right? So let's just decide to send this out to all of my officers, right? And so it's not going to go to the two staff here, but I will say you have to make sure that you select something. You cannot not select anything. I've tried to see if that's a thing. You have to at least select something, and then we go in and hit compose, and now it's going to ask us about this classic or the email builder, right? So this is the classic or standard, and they use a couple of different ways to say this, or the email builder. The classic is just a basic I'm gonna write an email out, right? There's no the it relies less on the use of media or graphics, anything that really pulls your attention, and it's just basically a standard form. You can still add some media in there, but it its biggest thing is just to be writing an email. Email builder though is meant to be more of a interactive thing for when you're sending an email out. Oh, I can see this and click on this, or I can click on that, or I have this flashy image here, maybe this video right here, or this event, right? Like, so it really just depends on what you want to do. The email builder, I will say, does take a little bit more time to sometimes set up, potentially, if there are other background things you have to do, like this image dimensions, making sure the image dimensions are right, or if you have to making sure that you have the video links if you need those or whatnot. But I can say that once I- I've seen officers once they get into using the email builder, they really like it, and it's really nice for them. I always stick with the classic, and for today though, we're just really gonna go with the classic, and then on the next emails training, we're gonna go into doing more of the email building in the second part of that series, right? So we go ahead and we click on that email, the standard classic one. And now you're going to start to see a bunch of other information, right? And so again, it's going to seem like a lot, but I'm going to point out again the numbers, right? The number system is going to help us have a little bit more control over how we see this screen and how we feel comfortable with it, right? So originally, we were asked to identify who we were sending it out to. We identified only the officers. So now, after we've clicked on the how we're going to compose that email with the standard email builder, now it's asking us to review that list and double check it. Now we're actually seeing the individuals and not just the group. Officers as the group, where we're actually seeing all 7 of those now, and we're just asked to review those, right? This is also a times that not only can we review and decide, oh, I didn't want to maybe have the Zainab on there, right? But this is also another time to add more recipients if we wanted to as well and type that in, right? So that's something that this is giving us those opportunities. In number 2, on top of that, you can have your CC or your BCC options, right? And so that's great, right? So for the ELT, I always have the club's email in here because I think that that's always important to be making sure that anytime we have a few different individuals working in ELT, that if one person's unable to answer a question, we have the conversation thread uh, always there because the club's email is always being CC'd. So you can set that up actually in the settings of your group to always have that happen, or you can have it as a BCC, but you can always have it set up. But if you wanted just to add other people on in CC, BCC, it's pretty standard, just like you'd see anything else. And you obviously want to use those comma separate, so that you could then add somebody else, right? This is a newer thing that is being used a lot more, as you can see with the notifications right here. You can say, hey, I want to send this out as a push notification. So you can actually compose an email and then send it out as a push notification, which basically sends out to if you have the notifications enabled, and most users, they have it by default. But if you do have the notification enabled, you're going to get it notified in your notification center. But if you have it on your phone, the app on your phone, you actually get a notification there as well. And I can show a image of how that would look right here, where it says it does that. So this individual had Wolfpack Connect on the phone. They had notifications enabled, and so boom, they got this notification that I sent out to everyone. So you could decide, hey, I want to make a whole email and send it out as a push notification. You can do that. One thing that I can say though is you lose the ability to track it as much, unfortunately, and see like who they all went out to and if they opened it or not. But it is something that you can do. So I'm just putting that out there. So now as we go down, as we've gotten 1, we've gotten 2 done, we're going down to 3. Who are we sending this as, right? So depending on, and I'm going to say for clubs, for the ELT side of things, we always want to be sending it as clubs at Madison College. We do not want to be sending it as our individual self, because if we have somebody responds back with a question, we're unable then to maybe fully help. Say if Billy is sick that day, and he sent it out as himself yesterday. Now here I am. I'm unable to know what's going on, and so I'm not getting the email. I'm not able to respond back. I mean, it's not coming on behalf of the clubs, and it creates a problem, right? So. It also helps if you have a lot of members and you don't want to be bombarded with a lot of emails coming in to your personal email account. This also helps to kind of redirect that, and so that all other responses are going to be coming back to your group's email address if you have one set up. And that's the thing. If you don't have one set up, you may not get this at all. This option, and I think that no, here we go. So that's a new thing that they just actually added on, but you can, like I said, in group settings, you can be able to do those changes. So right here, contact information. If you put in your group email right there, that's where you're going to see it right in here, right? So you gotta make sure that you put that down if you have one. And I think the other option here is that I explained a second ago is here we go, email default CC, default BCC, right? If if I, me putting in clubs, right? That's where every time I try to send an email, it's always going to be in there from the get-go. It's always going to be in there by default, right? And then you could set up a subject, prefix if you want to. I have not seen a reason why that would be necessary. But if you want to, you could. Maybe if you're only sending out newsletters, maybe that would would be a great thing to do. Excuse me. So something to think about. And then lastly, if you do set up and create an email template, you can have an automatic welcome message to any new member that joins your group. So if they join your group, they're automatically going to get sent out an email that says, "Hey, welcome to the group. Here's the bylaws. Here's some things to know about our club. Here's some resources to use," right? And so that's something that you can do. We can look at setting up setting up an email template would be in the next part two of this, right? But yes, that's a nice little thing that they do allow you to actually take you to the group settings. That way, that's new, I should say. But so you can. I will also say this because if you do choose to send it as your individual self, one thing you'll get is everybody in the group. So you'll have options for every one of the officers. So you could send it as any one of the officers, but I would say it's probably best to send it if you're going to send it from a personal email. Probably best to send it from yourself, or make sure you get permission from another officer if you were to do that. So. Now we will go ahead and go down to 4, which is where we're going to start to compose our email. And like you saw a second ago, or not a second ago, but a little bit ago, there were those 7 templates, right? So here they are right now. They always still kind of show you and give you those options to see that, right? We got to put in, test email for training, right? And then a couple things to think about. If you had a document that you wanted to attach, you could put that in there and say, I got the Radiography Club bylaws. Let's put that in there. And that is in there now. And now, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and then do a mail merge, right? So first, actually, I want to go back to one last quick thing. This does get very sneaky. If you do add something, you might not see that you added it. I mean, it's hiding out right there, so that's kind of a bummer. But that is I didn't have anything to drink in my throat here. That was very old coffee. But yes, you can just keep an eye to see that that's where they put that. Right? So if you wanted to use some mirror merge features, right, to help make this a little bit easier, you could do that. This kind of explains some of that, what you're doing if you were to do that. Um, but some of these are pre-done for you, right? So if you wanted to do it the more technical way, you would have to know what those fields are. If you wanted to have some of the pre-custom built ones in the options, you could do that. So, we could do hi first name, right? So it's now going to look at every one of your members and then put in hi blank the name, right? So hi first name, and there we go. And then I should actually put down I do this as well. Perfect. All right. So yes, that's going to do that now, right? So just keep that in mind because you do not. It's going to create a space in there for you, so you actually do not have to worry about creating some spaces when you start typing some stuff down. You can just kind of run with it because it's already going to be incorporated in that intro, right? If I did want to add something, I could click on is to replace your current. Yes, yep. So I could hit that if I want to, and so now it's got this stuff, right? So I have all these different this image information, right? This can get confusing. You obviously have to add. We'll get into all of that in the second one, but just something to know and identify, right? But so I'm just gonna set up. This is a test email that we created for the Wolfpack Connect training. And thanks much, the team. Whatever. Um, there's also some other information here, right? So like if you're gonna take some information from say Microsoft Word, right? You're gonna say, I'm gonna take this information, right? Copy this, because sometimes it might not be a bad idea to pre-do your thing in Microsoft Word and copy it over into the subject of this email, right? It's not a bad thing not to do at all. Um, but if you don't do it the right way, the formatting will be basically eliminated, and it will just default to what the default um, font and spacing and all that is, right? So if I was to say copy something over and paste it, I would be looking for this specific option right here that says paste from Word. I paste this in. Doesn't look like anything. It actually doesn't look like what if I was to look at this a second ago, this is in one font. This looks like it's in Times New Roman. It's okay. You can hit okay because it's actually going to do save your formatting, and then boom, now that's in there, right? So just something to also think about. But yeah, some of these, paste, I think paste from plain text, yep, and then just basic paste, right? Like I said, you can add things in here, like the media still if you wanted to, right? That those are things you can always do. You can have an anchor message where it's like you basically say, go here for this, and if you click on it, it will anchor it to say if I had a video section so I anchored the video section, and then I created and said, okay, have it go to there if I click on video, it immediately goes to the video section. That's what you can do with Anchor. You link a lot of these are again basic things that you would have in a web inbox, right? The table is nice and insert horizontal line. I'll be honest with you, I've got no clue. I've never even used that option before. But yes, you can do a lot of different things. If you want to see what it would look like by just the plain, behind the scenes, the HTML, you can click there and do that, and it will start to show you the actual HTML of that document. If you do not know HTML, it probably would be best to not do that. But yes, if you did want to do that, that's also an option, right? And so we've gotten, let's just say we've gotten four done, right? So we've put our subject down. We've made sure we're adding a mail merge option right now that's going to say hey, and then the first name of our members. And in this case, it's going to go to all of our officers. So any one of our officers, it's going to put in the first name. We've added an attachment right now, so the bylaws to a club. We're not going to use any of the pre-done templates we're in, so we just wrote a basic email message, right? We even pasted some of the information from Word in, and made sure that we kept that formatting fine. And so now we're ready to go into number 5, which is to add. Uh, I call them check boxes. I don't like click boxes, but this is the nice thing here, right? So the I think the biggest bonus of using email with Wolfpack Connect is that if you have specific things that you want to add in to your message, like an event, like a survey, or in this case, this isn't a set election, but it's basically a survey. You can check these and be able to add them in, right? So I don't have any actual, event, but if I was, um, and I actually don't. I'm gonna I'm gonna put a pause on this part, right? I'm gonna go back to ELT after I send this original one out, so that you can see what it looks like if you do that. Um, if you had created any checklists, but I'm just gonna right now at least put this on here, right? So this one thing on here, right? So and then from there. Uh, you know, but you can do anything with this. Any of these checkbox options in 5. And I'll show you in a second what that looks like. It's really cool. And then like I said, our last option was the delivery of how and when we're gonna send it, right? So if we're gonna decide to send it at a specific time, we can schedule, and that's where you'll see that information in the schedule emails sub window. But then you have that last option, display default footer, or also display the uh, unsubscribe link in footer, right? Those two little tiny baby options in there, right? And so default footer would, I believe, let's see if I can find a good example of that in here somewhere. Close, almost found it. Found it. And and it's one of those it's one of those crazy things because I have seen them literally a billion times before, and then the one time that see if I can find. All right, here we go. I found it. So here we go. So the round table, me sending out information on the round table a couple weeks ago, the basic email footer would look like this: the name, Massey College. It was sent, you know, from the one that you selected, right? So I'd selected clubs like I always do, to the recipient name, and then the option to unsubscribe. That's what the default template looks like, right? So, and then once we have all that information done, we know what we want to look at. We got everything set up, right? So then we need to have these four buttons down here at the bottom. If I say, now these can be cool, right? I will say, if you see the orange one, the orange button that you're looking at, you always have to preview it first. So before it lets you save and send, you have to click on that preview it first. It's a kind of a nice little feature that makes you have to definitely check that message before you send it. Another way to do that, you'll still have to do this regardless, but if you want to maybe make changes and do some changes here and there and play around with them and then go and actually send the test email, you just hit send test email, right? It's going to send out to, in this instance, it will not send out to, it will not send to that email address because that email address no longer exists, but it sends, let me see if I can find test email. Email test. So here's a good example of that, right? So an email test. This message is just a test. So this is what it would look like. I was wanting to send out the club officer workshop information. Before I sent it, I actually attached the event. I did check the click box to add the actual event. Um, and I wanted to see how the spacing will look at beforehand. And so yeah, I went ahead and did a test email before I actually clicked on the preview at first, right? So that's what that looks like. But then, yeah, if I'm ready, I hit preview at first. This is what it's going to show me. So hi first name, right? So it's only going to show what the MirrorMerge setting looks like. It's not actually going to show anything else until it actually sends out, right? This is a test email that we've created there, blah blah blah, right? So and then we've had the attachments right there and the election, or in this is the only checkbox item that we had, right? So and then there's the default footer and unsubscribe information, and then once I say, oh, either I like there or I don't, I can over hit close, and now you can see that the button is over here to say save and send. I also point out, if it wasn't obvious, that there's that option to save it as a draft. If I clicked on that, it would just take my email. It would take me back to the email section, but it would just put it. It would then you'd have a numbered icon next to the draft section that would show that you have a draft now. But now that we have had it previewed, and now that the orange has gone over to save and send, we're ready to actually send this. We've gotten the green light, right? So hit send, and this is kind of like this is what it's doing. You can publish. I will point this out. If when you have this option, so news articles are basically emails, right, in every sense of the way, right? So you can create a if you have an email that you want to send out to the and make it as a news article. And I will point out that by doing that, it does unlock incentive points for your club. So you can earn 25 bucks for this if you do this to publish this email as a news article. So you can do that. You can also just do view live opens and clicks. I don't like how it doesn't give you an option to go back home, right? You only have these two options. But if you did, you know, view the list of recipients, it's going to again take us to the open and clicks page, right? And it's going to it would show anyone who's opened this email, and it says who it sent it to, so officers active, and you know all the information. Gives us the option to again review it. What I do like about some of these features is if I want to say if it was a reoccurring thing that I want to send out a few times, I could select it all again if I had the individuals who had seen the message. I could select it all and then hit resend the email. I could also generate the report to see, have it as an Excel document if I want to see and add that to some sort of data warehouse if I had information that like that to be collected. But yeah, the other option is, hey, publish this as a article. Congratulations. Boom, I've already done it. Publish as an article. If I had categories, I could add categories to it, and then I hit close, right? I will just quickly say where that takes you, and see, this is the thing, you have to click on view live open and clicks. But if I wanted to see what that news article now, I would go under more tools, below tags, and in news. And as you can see, it says test email for training. Now I'll show you where that does actually end up going though. So something to see. If I go to Wolfpack Connect, if I was a non-user of Wolfpack Connect right now, right? If I did not have a user account and I wanted to check out and see stuff from Wolfpack Connect, I can now obviously see any of the events that are available or the groups and whatnot. But I can check out. Um, maybe it didn't. Huh. Oh, that's a bummer. It didn't. It's supposed to show up here. Maybe it just hasn't shown up yet. But huh. Well, that is a bummer. I don't know why that's not working. Maybe. Hmm. Oops. When I hit access, you obviously have the ability to adjust these and whatnot. So it is a little bit interesting. Desired publication date, yes. Date, yes. Use expiration. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that this is not showing up. But it should be. But either way, it will show up there. I don't have an explanation for that. If I was to check and see, sometimes I guess it likes to do things. Basically, maybe if I click on all news. Hmm. Yeah, I do not have a. It will go there though. I mean, it's the same thing. If I was to read this, it's the same exact stuff that, events, information, right? First name. This is essentially, I'm just curious as to why that didn't work for mine, but whatever. Maybe it's just having a second and taking a second. Let's go back and check though to see did anyone open up the message yet? Oh, huh. That's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. That's doing that. Uh, I know. Okay, so I know why it's not. I know why it's doing this. Why it didn't show up. We didn't set a specific time for it, but for whatever reason, it is now. It says it's not going to send until 5:40. That's a little bit strange. That's fine though. We can just fix this quick. We just go through these things one last time. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone's on here. We do this group email address. Need test, 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 test. Yeah, so there was no time on, no, yeah, no scheduled email delivery time. Uh, ballot, boom, preview, close. Huh. Okay, that should send out now. All right, so we were obviously seeing some weird things happening that shouldn't be happening. That says 9:45 a.m. That shouldn't be like that. I can't control these little hiccups, but obviously I have to figure out why that's doing that. On my end, that's different from you guys, but that is doing something weird. But essentially, it should be showing the right time, so that we'll just not worry about that at the moment. Either way, besides that though, that is um, I'm just gonna cut this short at 1:46 here, because we're obviously having some technical difficulties and it's not able to even show everything that should be showing. Um, which is a bummer. So now it says it's sent on 1:45, so it's saying it's updating, but it's also not saying it's updating. Okay, well that's good. So if it's sent, you will get this notification saying your email sent. So that's good. That's at least a good sign. So we can at least this is that what I just sent right now. Again, we have this weird scheduled one. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and post on your news. Close. Now, if I was to go back and refresh, it should show up, and it did. Boom, boom. Like I said, so it does work. I redeemed myself. Refresh. Yep. Boom, boom. And there you go. There you have it. That's $25. Again, you want to make sure you get that done. Um, but yes. So either way, that is the big part of emails right now. Again, we wanted to see, did anyone open it? No one's opened it yet. Did we see what the delivery status was? We can see test was sent, and for sure, no one's obviously read it yet. So, um, but there you go. And I think I have it potentially, right? Nope. I didn't send it to myself. I only sent it to students. But yeah, so there you go. All right. Uh, Next time we will go ahead and take a look at the other part of this, which is going to be on, come on, stop sharing. Which is going to be on the email builder, making templates, and really just exploring what having maybe making more of a flashier way of reaching your members would look like, right? And just also doing a basic overview of everything. But yeah, we've done a lot, and that's going to be it for today. So thank you very much, and I will see you later. Bye bye.